Hello, and welcome to this fourth installment of Arlington Whenever News. This one is called The Lonely Valentine Special. Roses are red, violets are blue. The Arlington County Board is ignoring you. Why does this show begin with such a melancholy poem? The answer is because I sent the following email to countyboard@arlingtonva.us marked Attention Tachus Carantonis on the evening of January 14th, 2025. Dear Mr. Carantonis, congratulations on your election to the Arlington County Board Chair position. Are you still also the liaison with Arlington Independent Media? At an October 27th AIM meeting, you said that you expected the findings of the county-ordered audit of AIM to be provided to both you and the AIM Board of Directors around Thanksgiving. It is now January 14th, 6 weeks after Thanksgiving, and I haven't seen any updates from you, the County Board, or the AIM Board. Also, my message below from last October has not been answered, even though I made a phone call to Arlington County on December 9th and received an apology from the receptionist along with an assurance that I would now receive an answer. Finally, I'd like to point out that AIM Productions did not stop after the March 2024 funding freeze. AIM just stopped broadcasting. Most of AIM's content has always been produced by individual members. I have continued to produce a weekly radio show, which I have been posting to Mixcloud without interruption. In addition, the Arlington Weekly News and Aging Matters TV shows have managed to complete a few productions. At the meeting, you mentioned your own experience as a private radio producer. I imagine you would not consider the absence of widespread broadcast to negate the work you did on your own small-scale broadcasts. I have also completed 3 episodes of a new video show called Arlington Whenever News, on which I have concentrated on reporting on the status of the AIM audit. I hope to be able to use your response to this message when preparing the 4th episode. It would be nicer than having to report on the continuing lack of responses. Please let me know as much as possible about the audit, the continuing process, and anything else concerning the future of relations between Arlington County and Arlington Independent Media. Thank you. I received a familiar automated email in return.
Hello. Thank you for contacting the Arlington County Board. Your message is important to us and will be shared with all board members, and appropriate action will be taken depending on the nature of your request. Please note that it may take up to 2 weeks to receive a response. If your request is of an urgent nature, or if we can be of further assistance, please feel free to contact us directly at 703-228-3130. If you're writing regarding a media request, please contact David Barrera, the Acting Communications and Policy Manager in the County Board Office at dbarrera@arlingtonva.us or 703-228-3121. Thank you for writing.
The period up to 2 weeks expired on January 28th. However, this was not a complete surprise. I recalled a message I sent on October 17th, 2024. The subject was Arlington Independent Media Audit. What is the status of the financial audit of Arlington Independent Media? I searched the Arlington County website for any mention of the audit or the withholding of funds in their news section. It would be helpful to know the name of the entity conducting the audit. It is significant that AIM has been unable to even pay their terminated employees since last March and is unable to pay out a lease termination to JBG Smith. Please provide me with any information you have or can obtain. I never received a response to that earlier message, even after I called back in January to remind the board of my inquiry. The office attendant who answered the phone apologized, located the email, and said an answer would be forthcoming. That reply has yet to arrive. However, although the county has ignored my individual requests, they did finally release the results of the AIM audit they initiated last March. I received a link to the audit findings, dated November 14, 2024, from AIM on February 6, 2025. The audit was performed by RSM US LLP of McLean, Virginia. Because Arlington County initiated the audit, they got to determine its scope. Accordingly, the report contains certain details but omits others. Disappointingly, the report noted that the auditors were unable to interview any personnel from AIM that were employed during the audit period. Therefore, the audit was limited to those financial records that the current AIM board was able to locate, along with a few outside sources such as banks. Although the AIM equipment inventory was sampled, a complete inventory was not performed. Therefore, the auditors were unable to provide an actual estimate for the value of AIM's inventory. It follows that the audit report did not provide any estimate of AIM's net worth at the end of the audit period. Readers of the report who were asking, "What's the bottom line?" were therefore disappointed. In their report, RSM defines the objectives as follows.
The objective of this internal audit was to determine whether AIM used county funding for capital and operating expenses per the type of funding provided by the county. The audit period for this review is January 1st, 2022 through March 31st, 2024. The scope of this audit includes the grant agreement between Arlington County and Arlington Independent Media for use of public, education, and governmental funds dated December 16, 2023.
Examination of the last two sentences raises a question. If the grant agreement was dated December 16, 2023, why was financial activity beginning on January 1st, 2022 being questioned? The auditors examined records nearly 2 years before the grant agreement was executed. Was the grant agreement retroactive? The report noted some additional fieldwork limitations.
We relied upon the new board treasurer to locate and provide all the requested documentation. The board treasurer joined AIM in 2024 and was not a part of the AIM board during the audit period. As a result, there is no guarantee that the documentation we were provided is exhaustive. The capital, operating, and miscellaneous funding were commingled in a single bank account and general ledger account. As such, we are not able to track how AIM spent the county's funding.
Thus, RSM calculated approximate totals for the amount of funding spent on what appeared to be capital expenditures versus operating expenditures. The body of the report begins with the following figures. The operating funding provided by the county for the 27-month period was $952,303. The capital grant funding provided by the county for that period was $1,049,490. The combined total was $2,001,793. The report continues with 10 observations. Observation number 1, in which additional miscellaneous funds, quote, out of scope, unquote, of $28,957 brought the total county provided funds to $2,030,750. Observation number 2 notes $213,093 reimbursement-based capital in arrears, as opposed to advanced funding of $836,397, combined to match the capital funding total of $1,049,490. However, the report states that, quote,
we substantiated through our testing that AIM used $513,280 for capital costs. For the remaining $536,210 in capital grant funding, AIM did not provide documentation to support that the costs were related to capital purchases.
The report defines capital costs as one-time expenditures on the construction, enhancement, or acquisition of assets, such as equipment and land, that will benefit a project for more than one financial year. RSM selected a sample of 15 capital assets that were included in AIM's capital funding requests submitted to the county. They say they were unable to locate 10 of the 15 items selected from the requests. The RSM report does provide some email evidence. Quote,
in an email dated January 23, 2023, from the AIM CEO to 2 contractors, the CEO states the following.
1. Prior expense request. This is all PEG funds. I don't think we include,
name redacted,
as a consultant, since she will be our long-term office coordinator. I broke the consultants down into the type of work that they had performed. I also included the cleaning lady, but I forgot her name or company name. I'd like us to go back and record her payments from July 2021.
On January 29, 2023, in an email response to the email above, a contractor said to the AIM CEO, lastly, CEO, rent is not a capital expense. What we could do is overestimate build-out costs to cover rental. The CEO responded via email,
under PEG, rent, when characterized as a lease purchase, can be considered a capital expense. That being said, we can ask for it as operating expenses right now.
The contractor responded via email, okay, I included that total, just named it something else.
RSM was very polite in describing these communications, but their specific inclusion in the report makes it clear that they were considered to be questionable. Observation number 3 contains some additional detail concerning $414,763 of costs not supported as valid business expenses, including
miscellaneous expenditures of $135,955, unsubstantiated consultant fees of $94,944, transactions unable to agree to bank statement of $55,822, restaurants, bars, clothing stores, auto service, jewelers, etc. of $29,787, travel expenditures, i.e. airfare, hotels, of $19,687, payments to employees outside of payroll of $18,254, checks made out to cash of $17,194, $534. Amazon and Party City purchases, with no receipt, of $9,866. Payments to the CEO outside of payroll of $9,030. Venmo, Apple Cash, and Stripe payments of $8,841. Loan payment of $5,478. Visa payments of $4,278. Grocery stores of $4,119. ATM withdrawal of $550. Donation to Gunston Middle School of $500, and pharmacies of $128.
Again, the specific inclusion in the RSM report makes it clear that they considered these to be questionable. Observation number 4 references these preceding items when citing, quote, lack of segregation of duties over the purchasing and payment process. Observation number 5 is lack of internal controls over third-party agreements, and lists 5 flat fee clauses.
1. Consultant for services in the amount of $6,500 monthly. 2. Name redacted, will be available for 7 to 10 hours per week from April 1st to October 31st, 2022 at a rate of $1,650 per month. 3. Consultant retainer for services of $4,166 monthly at the hourly rate of $200 per hour, not to exceed 20 hours per month. 4. Consultant for services in the amount of $2,500 monthly. 5. Consultant for services in the amount of $2,640 monthly at the hourly rate of $33 per hour, not to exceed 80 hours per month. AIM was unable to provide any deliverables of work products related to the third-party contracts reviewed.
Observation number 6 notes that AIM used 3 different payroll processing methods during the period. Paychecks Incorporated, then manual checks from AIM, and finally ADP. Notably, during the period from July 16, 2023 to October 15, 2023, AIM issued manual checks to employees net of taxes and other withholdings. However, RSM was unable to locate any records of payment of withheld earnings to IRS or the Virginia Department of Taxation. This could lead to penalties and fines. Observation number 7 notes a lack of oversight by the county. Observation number 8 identifies bonuses paid without documentation to support accomplishment of requirements. During the audit period, the following bonuses were paid to the CEO.
The CEO's 2022 to 2023 employment agreement, which commenced on September 1, 2022, allows for a $30,000 lump sum bonus. $35,000 was actually paid. Correspondence from the CEO stated,
I'm working with,
name redacted,
in figuring out when we can get an infusion of cash before April so that I can take my bonus ASAP. RSM continues.
In addition, the CEO was paid $25,000 on February 16, 2024 via wire transfer without any documentation to support the reason for or approval of this bonus. 10 days later, on February 26, 2024, AIM received a wire transfer from a business affiliated with the CEO in the same amount of $25,000, which appears to be a reimbursement of the bonus.
According to RSM,
the bonus was paid to the employee even though the bonus requirements were not met.
Although RSM did not specifically mention it, it might seem curious that the $25,000 was paid to the employee, but was repaid not by the employee, but by, quote, an affiliated business, unquote. Observation 9 cites inaccurate coding of general ledger transactions, including
a charge at Valiant Paris, a Miami Beach clothing store, which was coded as AIM staff expenses, other employee benefits. A charge at Laid-On Holistic Spa in Falls Church, which was coded as equity. A charge at Screw Top Wine Bar in Arlington, which was coded as AIM office operations, membership dues, and PUBL. A charge at Record Room, a bar in Queens, New York, which was coded as PEG expenses, PEG media programming.
RSM noted other errors, followed by a comment that
inaccurate records can result in incorrect financial statements, which can mislead stakeholders about the financial health of the organization.
Even to a non-accountant, that must seem pretty obvious. Observation number 10 states,
asset inventory list not maintained and lack of physical safeguarding of assets.
During an on-site inventory walkthrough, RSM selected 10 items. 5 of them were not included on AIM's inventory list. At the end of each of the 10 observations, RSM included individual recommendations, and the responses of AIM management were also included in the report. The RSM recommendations were mostly common sense directions to segregate duties, establish internal controls, maintain accurate financial records, and track inventory. The AIM responses typically pledged compliance, but the target date for compliance was often, quote, dependent on AIM receiving sufficient financial support from the county, unquote, or, quote, to be determined depending on financial recovery and future staffing plans, unquote, or to be determined contingent on receipt of county financial assistance, unquote. The RSM report concluded with 2 exhibits. The total of substantiated capital expenditures was shown as $513,280. The total of substantiated operating expenditures was shown as $1,829,262. Despite the inclusion of a few specific details and the closing exhibits which summarize the answer to the original question of whether AIM used county funding for capital and operating expenses per the type of funding provided by the county, there is much remaining for the county to interpret and decide. First, how are the unsubstantiated expenses to be considered? Will the county charge AIM for those amounts? Second, will the county attempt to contact former AIM staff and consultants to obtain more information and to determine if there are claims to be made against them? Third, but not finally, will the county provide any more funding to AIM, or at least enough to enable AIM to comply with the RSM recommendations? From one perspective, it might be convenient for the county to end AIM funding and to claim AIM's assets, some of which could be either sold or distributed among the county's remaining PEG channels. That would be less expensive than funding AIM and would eliminate AIM as a source of information in competition with the county's government channels. Whether or not Arlington's general public would approve of such a decision may depend on whether or not they're even informed of the decision, and, if so, how they are informed. Arl Now published their own coverage on February 6, 2025, with the headline, quote, AIM audit reveals, quote, deeply concerning, unquote, issues in handling $2 million from county, end quote. It would have been more accurate to say that it was the handling of only part of the $2 million that was concerning. Meanwhile, I waited for replies to emails I sent to AIM board members requesting information about the status of the audit and other AIM board activities. On January 14th, I sent an email to Colleen Choi at AIM. I'm wondering whether or not the AIM inventory process was completed at 3700 South 4 Mile Run Drive last December. I am also wondering about the other inventory items that had been stored on North Quincy Street. Have those items been relocated a second time, and/or have they also been inventoried? Also on January 14th, I sent an email to the AIM treasurer, along with 2 other AIM board members. On December 1st, 2024, I received an email stating that the procedure for retrieving email from the AIM location at 3700 South 4 Mile Run Drive had not yet been established by the AIM board. I imagine that other membership renewals may be coming due. Now, after 6 weeks, has the board decided what to do? On December 10th, 2024, another email stated that Arlington Cultural Affairs, who seemed to have rejected my original mailing, would be contacted. Has this been done? On December 16th, I got an email stating that my check had now been received by Amanda McKay and would be passed along to the AIM treasurer for redemption. Has the treasurer received my check, and is there anything preventing it from being presented for redemption? I did not receive any replies, but on January 27th, a new email came from the AIM board urging members to tell Arlington County to release the audit report and to provide funding to enable AIM's radio station, WERA, to resume broadcasting before March 21st, when the FCC would revoke its license. I immediately emailed the Arlington County Board as instructed, but I also emailed the AIM Board of Directors. My message read, I have responded promptly to you, but you have not responded to me. These days, the only times I hear from AIM is when they want something. I suppose you have all been busy, but so have I. The current AIM board has tended to do too little, too late. Given the Arlington County Board's 2 weeks before response to emails policy, this may yet again be the case. I also emailed them and specified Takis Karantonis about the AIM and WERA situation on the same day, January 14, 2025, as I emailed the AIM treasurer and Ms. Choi, and the 2-week delay will expire tomorrow. However, the Arlington County Board never responded to a message I sent them last October, so I am not optimistic about any email correspondence producing meaningful financial results. Please answer the questions I already asked. I only wish I could honestly thank you in advance. I plan on producing a Valentine's Day edition of the Arlington Whenever News. At the moment, it looks like the opening line will be, Roses are red, violets are blue, the Arlington County Board is ignoring you. So far, the closing line would have to be, "Roses are red, violets are blue. The AIM board is ignoring you too." Maybe you can change the ending. This message finally resulted in an apologetic reply from AIM board member J.C. Hiemstra, but it contained very little information. Quote,
"The inventory isn't finished yet, but it is about 3/4 finished between all inventory locations. Amanda is the best person to address your questions regarding your check, but I know it has been delayed because of a tax lien that was put on our bank account by the county due to our overdue property taxes. We cannot share much about the audit yet since it is not finalized yet. The county needs to release it. Amanda is working on a communication that provides some initial insight about our financial situation."
Although the inventory was about 3/4 finished as of the last session on December 28th, there was no further progress attempted during the entire month of January. An inventory that is only 3/4 complete is no more useful than a bridge that only goes 3/4 of the way across a ravine. Perhaps the most telling non-response involved my attempt to contact former AIM CEO Whitney Kernodle. By December 7th, 2024, I believed that it was only fair to report on her side of the AIM story. I contacted a former AIM staff member and asked if he would provide me with his current contact information for Ms. Kernodle. He declined to provide the contact information but wrote,
"If you give me your phone number, I'll pass it on to her. Best offer."
I sent him my phone number, and he replied,
"Message delivered."
I have not heard from either of them since, which seems unfortunate, since they deserve at least to be heard. In lieu of a closing poem, I will state only that an awful lot of people have made it a lonely Valentine's Day.